on, guys? Welcome back to the UKnowAdamTsang podcast, where you get to know a little bit more about people, passions, and all things business. Today, I'm with Sean Fox, who has absolutely changed the face of Statesboro. Literally, he's done an amazing job at everything that, from branding, web design. He absolutely has completely changed what Statesboro looks like. Sean Fox, welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those that don't know who Sean Fox is, tell me a little bit about yourself.
So, first, father of 3.
Okay.
Husband of 1.
Okay.
So I've got 3 kids, and Bethany's my wife. She's a teacher in Brooklet, and
Okay.
I've grown up, lived here for 35 years.
That's awesome. What were you doing in high school?
So I was playing in bars on the weekends.
Uh-huh.
So I played a lot of music growing up.
Okay.
Started playing drums when I was 10, and kind of went from there. Played in bars on the weekends and church on Sunday.
How did you get into that?
My parents always got me, or started getting me drum sets about when I was 2.
Okay.
And I got Toys R Us drum sets for a number of years. And I just remember there's a funny memory where I had a drum set, and it was one of those ones with the cymbal that comes out of the bass drum.
Okay.
And I wanted something bigger, so I rigged up like 2 pool sticks.
Okay.
We had little mini pool sticks, and I rigged those up with like. You ever seen the little monkey that has the little cymbals in his hand?
Yes.
So we had some little kid cymbals, and I like stuck them on there and made like this larger drum set out of this. And then I think shortly after that, I got a full size drum set, and I was kind of into baseball. And when I say I was into baseball, I just kind of did it. I wasn't really any good at it. I just started playing at church on Sundays when I was 10. That's when I started playing on main stage.
Okay.
And
did you fall in love with it? What was it like? Like starting out as 10 years old?
Starting out, it was super frustrating because I knew what I wanted to do, but I couldn't. And it took a long time to develop a lot of the interdependence between limbs and not having my right arm match my right leg, or play the same thing on the right side of my body and something different. It took a long time to figure that stuff out, and I was also too stubborn to really take lessons or anything. I wanted to do it myself. Okay. But it just kind of progressed from there. I started playing in church on Sundays, and then we started developing bands and youth group and stuff like that, and that eventually led to playing in bars on the weekends.
Yeah, so how does that connect with each other? So you were playing at church.
So I was playing at church, and then me and a couple friends in high school, we were probably like 14, started like this band, and we just started playing music and really just wanted to write music. Back then this was like MTV.
Okay.
MTV2 had just come out, and like we were into metal music and like all this kind of stuff. So that's mostly the music we played in the bars on Sunday or Friday night and Saturday night, were metal and hardcore music, and then I'd go to church and play.
Very nice.
And
then so I guess the group that you had formed started playing at these bars, and then you would develop this thing where you would play on Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday you would wake up early. Did you party at all during
No, because we didn't have time. Because I didn't. Some of my friends did, but it was a thing where we would practice probably 2 or 3 times a week. And one of my best friends, his mom actually helped us create a band room in their barn. So there was actually 2 different bands practicing at the same time. So there was one of my best friends, Brian Pravat, his band. Yeah, so his band was playing in a shed out in their backyard, and then we had built a band room in the barn, and we were playing there at the same time. I'm sure the neighbors hated all of us, but we'd practice 2 or 3 times a week. We'd load in sometime that evening on Friday night on a bar in town. There was Legends, Apex, Horizons.
Oh, snap.
So like going on.
Classics, baby. we dropping some big names right now. That's right. Awesome.
So we would play on Friday night. Loadout is like 11 p.m. Midnight, and
Sure.
by that time you've played a couple hour set and you're done.
Got you.
We would stay up and watch Headbangers Ball on MTV2, and eventually fall asleep and wake up Saturday morning, and then if we had a show that Saturday night, we'd do it again, and then get up early and go play at church on Sundays.
So it sounds like you had a lot of fun during that.
Oh, it was a
period
ton of
time.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun. I mean, and we had one band from like 14 to 15, and then I joined a couple college guys in another band and played there for 3 or 4 years, just around and stuff, and eventually got into college, played in another band, went and recorded a couple albums and
Awesome.
some music and stuff like that. So it was a lot of fun.
How did that kind of like translate to what you're doing now? So you are the, if you want to tell everybody kind of like the position that you are in.
Okay.
At the company, yes.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I own a design agency called Pioneer Design, and we focus in on brand strategy, which is kind of like the underlying foundation for all things business. So it fits with this. So it's essentially like the foundation upon which business is built. I mean, you arguably can't have effective marketing if you don't have effective messaging, and so we build everything that's underneath the surface that most people, most consumers, most customers don't see. But it's all the stuff that drives everything else. So creative, this is the way we talk about it. The difference between art and design is art is for you and design is for everybody else. And so art expresses emotions and design communicates information. And so that's a lot of what we're developing for different companies, is not just changing the face of Statesboro. It's really making business better and more beautiful because of the work that we're doing in strategy work. And then we also do identity work, logos and things like that, web design, and then we develop marketing plans based off of all of that stuff. So it just really compounds and builds on each other. But again, going back to the base, like if you don't have a firm base, like I used to work construction too. So if you don't have a solid, sure, firm, level, straight foundation, it's really difficult to build anything on top of it that is also straight and sure, because everything is built off of each other.
That's
Does that
right.
make sense? So,
yeah, of course. I mean, we've worked together before.
Yeah.
In fact, I mean, you have kind of like spearheaded some of the brands that I currently am working with, and so it was great to see. There were certain things that you would talk about, especially in those early meetings, that I would say, I don't know if like I'm just like stupid or like I'm not understanding this. Talking about the logo living on certain surfaces, right?
Sure.
And I didn't realize the value of that until I started kind of like working with the logo myself, right? So I took the logo and kind of like started putting on different products, and I realized that no matter if it was on a table, or no matter if it was on a sticker, on a business card, it could be transferred to multiple different places and still maintain itself. So I got so much value out of that.
Yeah.
And the work that you've done, I keep coming back to the facelift of Statesboro, which you have absolutely done, right? So many small towns aren't known for their design.
Not typically, no.
Right? And because you are such a powerhouse in the Statesboro area, and outside this area, and we'll touch on that in a little bit, you have kind of had a major impact on the way that this Statesboro looks like, right? Just rattling off brands, if off the top of your head, Bull and Barrel, Tandoor and Tap, So Yummy Asian Kitchen, that's who I'm in. And all these different brands. I mean, what kind of got you there? So you started off. Let's kind of like. I want to ask about how you got to that place where you started designing. So
it's a really funny story. So I've been playing drums for 25 years or more now at this point, like legitimately playing. I mean, I could argue I've been playing since I was 2, but
sure,
that's not entirely accurate. But so there was an intern position in college that I was vying for, and it was at the Wesley Foundation. Went to the Wesley Foundation throughout college, played music there as well, and it was for the worship intern. And I was thinking, at this point, I've got a solid 10 years of experience doing worship music on the weekends, but also doing band, stuff in bars on the weekends as well, and a lot of experience there. And I went in for the position, and I didn't get it. And what's really funny is another one of my friends, his name is David Donnan. He's now a pastor of, I think, 2 churches. One of them, he's a Methodist pastor. I think one of them is in Twin City and another one's somewhere else. I can't remember. But he actually got that position. Mm. And there was another intern position over at the Methodist church with Brandon Williams as a youth intern. And so I didn't get the worship intern one at Wesley, which I thought that I was going to get because it just made what I thought was a lot of sense. But I did get the youth intern position at Methodist church. And so that didn't really involve a lot of music. That wasn't necessarily a part of my job description.
The youth pastor.
Yeah.
Okay.
And but what are the youth intern?
Intern.
So, yeah. So Brandon was the pastor, and but anyway, what it wound up being is a position where we needed some design works, like slides for announcements and stuff. And skipping back, like I had drawn a little bit. I'm not very good with a pencil. I'm much better at a computer than I am a pencil. Mm-hmm. But I had done some things. My parents had gotten me some caricature drawing videos because that's how old I am. they were on VHS. They weren't on DVD or the internet. So, but I had dabbled in some of that stuff, and I was just like, this seems pretty easy. It's creative in nature, and I'm clearly not getting to do the drum, worship side of things, but maybe I'll try this stuff. And I just started doing it, and I really enjoyed it, and it just kind of progressed from there, honestly. I mean, and that's just as simple as it was. I started designing for that. We started a college service there called Selah, and designed the logo and all of that kind of stuff, and really just, I guess the main thing for me, and this is through my tenure of design, of running a creative team at Connection Church for 9 years or better, or working at Connection Church, and then also eventually getting into like running a team of creatives at Connection, was, I wanted everything to have intention and meaning and purpose. Mm. And that was something I still believe, and that's what we do at Pioneers. We build intention, meaning, purpose in every single decision that we make. So if you ask what color we chose, it's for a specific reason, mm-hmm. not just because we liked it. Mm-hmm. Because when you build things with intention, it matters more to the people you're trying to talk to. Because that's our goal, is to figure out who we are as a company, whoever we is, and who we're trying to talk to, and develop things that connect those two people together. Mm-hmm. And if we can do that, then we're building trust. And when we build trust, then we can sometimes make a sale or sell a service or do something like that. Absolutely. That's more genuine than just like some sort of sales pitch of as seen on TV products that we've all been burned by, right?
Of course.
So that's part of like the process for us, is building intention and purpose into stuff. And really just from there, I'd progressed into designing for the church and did a lot of the foundational work design-wise for Connection Church. And
I wanted to ask about Connection. Connection, from my understanding, did not start at the building that it's
no.
At. It started at like an auditorium at a high school. Is that correct?
No.
Where did it start?
So it actually started at a pond house. Well, if you really want to get technical, it started in Brandon's living room, and then it went to a pond house that his father-in-law owned. And we met there for a few weeks, and then eventually we moved into a building that was behind Burger King. So I think it's Southern Chiropractic that is back there now, I think. But anyway, we were there for a few years, renovated it twice. And when we moved from there, then we moved to Statesboro High. And we're there for a few years and built the building we're in now. Mm-hmm. So I think at this point, we're 11 years old, maybe 12 this coming November. I can't remember. 12, because we started in 2008. Mm-hmm. So, but just progressing that whole way, I mean, and the dynamics of having to communicate to 1,000 people from all walks of life about the three main things, which would be big church, so adults, kids ministry, and student ministries, and then all the associated other things that come with church ministry. Sure. And stuff like that. As we grew, in numbers, but on size and staff and things like that, communication was a big thing. And that's where I go right back to design is about communicating information in like a lovely way, or in a a strong way, or a beautiful way, or a pretty way, or anything like that, because that's part of the style side of it, not just the information.
And so, at what point did you start, I guess, becoming holding the position of, I guess, creative director? Is that what
like
you
creative
fell into?
pastor. So I mean, I think well, what wound up happening is I was working a job at a roofing contractor while the church was starting, because it was starting and we couldn't afford it. And he was gracious enough to pay me a full salary for 40 hours a week, but only I only had to work 4 out of those 5 days, and I had a day that he was actually paying for me to work at the church, and so that enabled us to do a lot of things that we ordinarily wouldn't have been able to do. And then going into that, transitioning into more of that, there was just a scenario where in 2011, my boss had come to me and said, "Hey, I need you here full time," and that was just going to put a big strain on the church. We weren't really prepared for that, and I am forever grateful for the time that he gave me, in the pay and all of that sort of stuff. But I just knew that it wasn't what I wanted to do long term, and I wanted to be in ministry long term, doing the creative side of stuff. And so I talked with my wife in December of 2011. I quit my job like cold turkey, and went to go work. I mean, I wasn't making a lot of money at the construction. I mean, I felt like I was at the time, but in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't a lot. But I still quit my job with a 2-year-old, a wife, and a mortgage, and got paid $150 a week at the church.
Wow.
But what that forced me to do is then go out and start cold call selling design work. And what was great about the whole thing is that I think it took me 1.5 years to work for the church to be able to get to a point where they could pay me almost full time. But in that 1.5 years, we never missed a bill.
That's awesome.
So, I mean, God provided everything that we needed. I mean, it wasn't excess by any stretch of the imagination, but it was everything we needed. We paid every bill. We were never late on anything. It doesn't, I don't think God provides in such a way like where it's just this, the heavens open and just money dumps into my account.
How do we make that happen?
I don't know.
If you
figure it out, let me know. But I mean, that's what I did. Is I printed up some business cards. I went and knocked on doors. I was like, "Hey, I design logos. Hey, I can design you a business card. I can design you flyers." Just went and knocked on doors, and that's what happened.
So a lot of our audience out there might be listening in, and they might be thinking about, okay, I want to pursue something that I enjoy and absolutely love.
Yeah.
Right. What is the from your experience, what is the biggest piece of advice that you would be able to give them?
If you two things. I know for a fact, at least for me, I really enjoyed it, so I was willing to work for it. I worked 6 days a week, nights and weekends, and things like that for probably 7 or 8 years with a family.
Put in the time.
You put in the time. I mean, you have to, because that's the only way you're going to get any better. And the interesting part, the difficult part, I don't know really what adjective or whatever I want to put to it, is that things are at such a higher level now in 2020, like starting out, than they were back when I started doing things. Like, there's a lot of really good designers in all places, small towns, big towns, foreign countries, everywhere. There's a lot of really good design. There's a lot of really good artists. There's a lot of really good videographers and photographers.
Sure.
There's a lot of really good people, and the internet has made it even more accessible than ever to gain access to them. So that's a thing. But if you love it, work for it. And then the second thing is, there's a difference in business and hobby. And so the way that Justin and I did a talk on a while back at Georgia Southern about pricing for creativity. And the thing that we said was that if somebody's not willing to pay you for what you're doing. It's a hobby, not a business.
Mm.
And so in design, it's not just art, but it's also not just communicating information. You have to be able to sell it. And so if you have a passion, you need to figure out how to monetize it. Otherwise, it's just going to be a hobby. And that's okay sometimes. But if you want to turn it into a business, you have to figure out how to sell it.
So, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people have hobbies out there that they
Sure.
absolutely enjoy doing. You know, what is that step? How do you get to the point where something that it is that you enjoy, and then you're able to put it into the hands of, you know, people and exchange that for cash, right? Because that's what you're talking about.
You have to generate interest. People have to want it. And if you also have to want it too.
Sure.
So, like, if you start a hobby, I mean, because we've talked about pizza before,
Sure.
right? You know, like, I'm getting really into pizza because my wife got me.
I see it all the time.
My wife got me a pizza oven for
makes me
our
hungry
anniversary
every single time I see it,
and it's fantastic. And I love it. We do it every Friday night.
That's right.
And so, like, I'm super passionate about that for my family.
Sure.
May or may not ever turn that into something, but it's all of these hobbies can be vehicles for business if that's what you want. I think that's a determination that everybody has to make.
So it sounds to me like there is a factor in there of deciding what you want to do with that hobby.
Yes.
So, and then once you have decided, then you move towards that next thing.
Yeah, and I mean, I do not like the word hustle. I just don't. But I like the spirit of it.
Okay.
I just don't like the word.
Okay.
But you work hard, and you put in the time, and you do what you have to do, and to make it work. And that's the only way that I know how to go about it, because that's what I did.
That's right.
And there's probably plenty of other ways to go about it. I just don't know what they are.
You mentioned something in the first thing that you said about, you know, how accessible that everything has become. You know, anybody can pick up a camera and become a videographer.
They can.
Anybody can kind of like hop onto Photoshop, look at pre-existing designs and come up with something that at least looks halfway decent.
Right.
How does one stand out? What is your take on how Pioneer kind of, I guess, creates a brand around them that people come to you because you're able to offer compared to everybody else?
So that goes into a lot of the process of what we're doing. So how to stand out, arguably, in this market, really any industry, is to be yourself. I think first and foremost, to be yourself. And so we work with small businesses, we work with medium businesses, we're doing work with really large businesses like outside of this area. But it all boils down to people communicating with people. And so how can you create a personality and a culture within a company that connects with people outside of your company that want to be a part of it?
Understood.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the way we talk about it is we help develop verbal that informs visual that gives a visceral feeling. Does that make sense? So I like alliteration. So verbal language that informs visual language, which is your logos, your typefaces, your colors, your style, your vibe, all of that sort of stuff, that then gives people a feeling. And that feeling, that gut feeling that people have about your company, your business, your nonprofit, yourself, is what your brand is. It's not what you say that it is. It's what other people say that it is. And so that's what brand is. It's reputation management in a lot of ways. But we use this illustration, metaphor, I don't know what it is, all the time, where some of us have at least seen these as seen on TV commercials. And they're just pretty much renowned for not ever really turning out the way that they were promised. Sure. You know, so you get this product that it's this miracle, this miracle product that's supposed to revolutionize all these things. And then you get it, and it either doesn't work as expected, it breaks really easily, because you paid, one easy payment of $19.99 on it,
That's right.
Or you don't know how to use it, or there's some hitch in it that made it not as true as what they said. Mm-hmm. Our argument and our position on all of this is that's what we want to do, is build truth into marketing, because all of this builds together. So strategy, identity, web, digital stuff, and then marketing is essentially this, you're waving this flag saying, hey, pay attention to me. But if all of this stuff up underneath isn't aligned and isn't true with what you're saying when you're waving this flag, people aren't going to trust you. Because why? Because there's thousands of other companies that do the same thing. Mm-hmm. So what's going to draw them to you is some sort of connection, some sort of solution to a problem that you had. Mm-hmm. And so we have to identify what those things are and then express it visually, verbally, to give the feeling. People make a decision in 0.05 seconds after first looking at your website whether they're going to stay or they're going to leave. Mm. So you've got 0.05 seconds to make a good impression, enough for them to scroll down. It's a lot of pressure.
Of course.
But if we've done all of this work, this foundational work, where we've done some verbal strategy and we've figured out what sort of messaging is going to resonate with people, is going to connect with people on an emotional level, and then put that up top and help people, just help people really, like digitally, then that's going to hopefully compel them to scroll further and get further into the story.
Understood.
Does that make sense?
Of course.
So that's kind of, I don't think, back to your question, I don't think there's one key to it, but I think that there is a lot of different bits and components that work together.
What you've done for kind of like the people that you work with is absolutely amazing. Mm. What is in the future for Pioneer Design? Like, what are you working on next?
So we're just going to try and continue to do what we're doing, just with more people on board and working with, I never want to stop working with the mom and pop shops. Mm-hmm. That was one of the things that we set out with, is that I wanted to do big town work and small town work, because when I first started doing design and like getting paid for it, okay, not like church ministry stuff, but like started doing logos and stuff, what I wanted to do is, I knew Statesboro was eventually going to grow. Mm-hmm. I have a degree in marketing from Southern, and one of the things in one of my classes was that Target was supposedly coming back in like 2009, or at least they were surveying the area. Mm-hmm. And they said that the average income didn't meet their stipulations. At the time, it was like $40,000, average salary for families or whatever, or for individuals, and we were 35 or something like that. Mm-hmm. So they weren't coming. And so I knew, and I kind of took that as a cue, that big box retailers, big, like larger franchises were coming to this town. And a lot of my friends, even at that time, owned small business. And I wanted to figure out, how can I help them survive when the big box comes in? Mm. Because, like my grandfather owned an outdoor sportsman, which was an old hunting, fishing, archery store on Highway 80 a long time ago. I used to work there as a kid, sweeping and vacuuming and making, arrows and, gluing the feathers and stuff on to that, and listening to country music, CMT all day.
Oh man!
While I was playing metal music in the bars. So, like, but when Walmart came, because that's how old I am, when Walmart came, it really impacted because it's Walmart.
Sure.
And so for that, plus a couple other reasons, things like that, they had to shut it down. And so I remember that from when I was young, of like, I don't want that to happen to my friends. Mm-hmm. And so what can I do to help? And so that's where, like, it is. Like, I want to do the big work because I know that's what we're capable of. But I also want to take the tactics, the strategies, and all of the things that happen at that level, mm-hmm. like where people are spending hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars on marketing. Working with brands at that level, taking those strategies and tactics from those companies and those marketing teams and implementing that at a smaller level to where we're creating connection with people. And that's the goal of Pioneer, is to continue to do that. It's to continue to work on the front lines of design and marketing and advertising and all of that sort of stuff with some of these bigger brands that we're fortunate to be working with, and then translating that into small business and helping small business in this area and beyond to get better and more beautiful. I mean, that's the goal of Pioneer, is just do what's necessary, bring people on that's necessary in order to facilitate that for them.
Sean, I'm sold. I want to buy another logo right now. For those that kind of like are interested in your work, where can they find you at?
So you can find us on Instagram at Made by Pioneer. We're on Facebook at Pioneer Design, and then our website is madebypioneer.com. We're in the middle of revamping that right now, so we'll have something new probably in the next couple months.
Very nice.
Ready to go for all of that.
How about an email address for you?
Yeah, so my email is Sean, Sean, like Sean Connery from James Bond.
Very nice.
Yep, Sean at madebypioneer.com, or you can reach Katie Page at Katie, Katie, at madebypioneer.com.
Awesome. Sean, I want to thank you so much for spending some time with me.
Thanks for having me.
Enjoyed all of the conversation that we had. Continued to, push the bounds of kind of design, especially in this area, outside of the area, and everything that you do. Highly recommended. And
thanks, man.
Thank you so much for stopping by the show.
I appreciate you having me.